Hello, everyone. Trump didn't take the APEC summit seriously. He merely went through the motions and left early. Yet Lee Jae-myung still presented him with a golden crown. Xi Jinping attended the entire event to show respect, but Lee only gave him a go board and even teased him in person about the security of Xiaomi phones. Despite this, outlets like the New York Times remain unflinching and steadfastly claim that Trump is the loser and Xi Jinping the winner, the true king of the summit, and so forth. A lot happened this weekend. The White House publicly released all the key points of the U.S.-China agreement, making it crystal clear whether the CCP has fully capitulated. Trump's 60 Minutes interview revealed even more shocking behind-the-scenes details. Meanwhile, Bloomberg disclosed today further underwater moves by the CCP. Authorities have drastically cut purchases of Russian oil by as much as 45%. Forcing the Russian Prime Minister to rush to Beijing to demand answers. Today is November 3rd, Eastern Time. This is Tang Jingyuan. Welcome to our channel. Here, you won't just know what happened, you'll understand why it happened. We'll start with the latest major development, then discuss the humorous moments from Xi Jinping's APEC appearance, including the viral meme of him drinking and the lesser-known episode where a subordinate corrected him on the spot while he was introducing an inkstone gift to Lee Jae-myung. Bloomberg reported last night that after the U.S. imposed sanctions in October on Russian oil companies and Lukoil, CCP state giants like Sinopec and China National Petroleum canceled some Russian oil cargo orders. Smaller independent refineries have similarly held back. They fear ending up like Shandong Yulong Petrochemical Company, which was recently blacklisted by the UK and EU. According to consultancy Rystad Energy AS, the reduction in Chinese imports from Russia amounts to 400,000 barrels per day, equivalent to 45% of China's total oil imports. The affected Russian crude includes the popular ESBO grade. The order cuts have caused Russian oil prices to plummet. ESBO is now trading at a 50-cent discount per barrel to Brent, whereas a month ago it commanded a $1 premium. What does this mean? How severe is the impact on Russia? In plain terms, it delivers a double blow to Russian oil exports. Lower volume and lower price. A fiscal and war economy nightmare for any resource-exporting nation. For a rough estimate, Russia's fossil fuel export revenue in September 2025 was 16.4 billion euros per month, or approximately $17.8 billion. Using €1 is almost equal to $1.09. Crude oil accounts for 60 to 70% of that. A 45% cut in crude exports to China could cost Russia about $1.57 billion monthly, or 10 to 15% of total oil revenue. If sustained annually, the loss could reach $18.8 billion, or 12 to 15% of Russia's estimated $150 to $160 billion annual oil export income. However, Russia may partially offset this via its shadow fleet to other buyers, potentially capping the damage below 10% of total revenue. In short, the impact on Russia's war economy is significant but not existential. The real issue lies elsewhere, in a widely circulated online saying. For Russia, the greatest fear is that this is only the beginning. Putin must determine whether this is a temporary CCP maneuver to avoid scrutiny or a genuine policy shift. Today, Russian Prime Minister Mishustin arrived in Hangzhou to meet CCP Premier Li Qiang. Xinhua headlined the 30th regular meeting between Chinese and Russian premiers, filled with the usual rhetoric about robust bilateral ties. Only Russia's official Sputnik news agency noted that in closed-door talks, Mishustin explicitly stated, despite various obstacles and illegal Western sanctions, Russia-China relations are at their highest level in centuries and continue to flourish in all directions. Do you detect Putin probing Beijing's intentions? His concern is precisely what is unfolding, a massive shift in CCP foreign policy. The most symbolic marker is the U.S.-China trade deal, which extends far beyond commerce and is already reshaping the geopolitical landscape. On November 1st, the White House released the full U.S.-China trade agreement. Per the details, the CCP must fulfill 10 obligations. Cease all retaliatory tariffs imposed since March 4th. Remove all tariff barriers on U.S. agricultural products. Eliminate all non-tariff retaliatory measures against the U.S. Abandon the entity list targeting U.S. companies. Issue general export licenses for rare earths to ensure global supply chain stability. Purchase at least 25 million tons of U.S. soybeans annually to support American agricultural exports. Strengthen controls and enforcement cooperation on fentanyl precursor chemicals. Terminate antitrust investigations into U.S. semiconductor supply chain firms. Resume chip exports to Nexperia, which the Netherlands has directly taken over, and more. In exchange, the U.S. agrees to reduce comprehensive tariffs on China by 10 percentage points, maintaining a high 47% rate. Pause entity list expansions for 1 year. Extend the Section 301 investigation into Chinese maritime logistics by 1 year to provide a buffer. Continue the Section 301 probe into China's compliance with the prior administration's Phase 1 agreement. The imbalance is glaring. Xi Jinping hasn't merely capitulated. This is capitulation to the point of prostration, nearly flat on the ground. No wonder seasoned observers struggle to believe their eyes, wondering how she could sign what amounts to a new treaty of Shimonoseki with barely any resistance. Yes, by CCP historical standards, this is an outright unequal treaty, one the regime would denounce as national humiliation, and that wolf warrior patriarch she would never accept. Yet he did, cheerfully, without evenly Hongzhong's sigh of resignation. The CCP's pivot has been telegraphed. In early October, Bloomberg reported that Beijing had offered the U.S. a $1 trillion mega investment package to lift national security restrictions on Chinese firms' U.S. investments and trade. Washington responded cautiously. As we've noted repeatedly, the fourth plenum communique can be faked, but policy shifts cannot. The CCP is undergoing a comprehensive realignment across politics, economy, military, and diplomacy. Cutting Russian oil purchases marks the political opening. The trade deal is the economic diplomatic centerpiece. Are there military parallels? Yesterday, during a break at the Malaysia Regional Security Conference, U.S. Secretary of War Hegseth spoke with CCP Defense Minister Dong Jun Hegseth, then posted on X that, after briefing President Trump, they agreed U.S.-China relations have never been better. He and Dong concurred on establishing military-to-military communication channels to de-escalate conflicts and resolve potential issues. More meetings will follow soon. God bless China and the United States. Hegseth was previously seen as the hawk of hawks on China within Trump's cabinet. How did he execute a 180-degree pivot to Dove overnight? Hours before his post, at the same conference, he warned of CCP threats, urged Southeast Asian nations to stand firm, and bolster maritime forces against Beijing's increasingly destabilizing South China Sea actions, stating, "We do not seek conflict, but we must ensure China does not attempt to dominate you or any other nation." His abrupt reversal baffled media, who questioned why he attacked China one moment and praised bilateral ties the next. The explanation is straightforward. Pre-meeting, he followed his hawkish script and issued stern warnings. Post-meeting with Dong, he received a game-changing signal, prompting an immediate report to Trump. Combined with the Trump-Xi summit, this led to their joint conclusion that U.S.-China relations are at an all-time high. Put simply, the CCP has executed a full-spectrum pivot. Though unannounced, Dong clearly conveyed messages Washington wanted to hear, leaving Hegseth elated. The only public clue, Dong agreed to establish military-to-military channels to avoid conflict and ease any emerging problems. Such channels existed for years, but were repeatedly severed during Xi's wolf warrior era, most recently in 2022 after Pelosi's Taiwan visit. Low-level contacts resumed late in the Biden administration, but ceased upon transition. The Trump-Xi summit ends. Trump giddily awards it 12 out of 10. The Hegseth-Dong meeting concludes. Hegseth declares U.S.-China ties unprecedentedly strong. Simultaneous? Hardly coincidence. This is the outcome of the CCP's comprehensive policy reversal, abandoning Xi's wolf warrior doctrine, the East rising, West falling narrative, and a new Cold War with America. What precipitated this? If evidence seems insufficient, consider the latest bombshell. Yesterday, President Trump sat for CBS's flagship 60 Minutes. Discussing tariffs, he said they're national security. Example: China threatened us hard with rare earths. I said, if you play that card, I'll slap another 100% on top of the existing 55%. That's already sky high. Money will flood in like we've never seen. I'll add 100% to everything. Know what happened? 20 minutes later, we got a call. China wants to talk. Dramatic scene. She had just launched his rare earth Pearl Harbor with world-shattering bravado. U.S. media called it a trade nuclear bomb. Yet 20 minutes after Trump's 100% tariff threat, she capitulated at light speed and begged to negotiate. What triggered his instantaneous 180? I've analyzed this systematically. The rare earth dump was Xi's pre-plenum trump card to provoke U.S. conflict and regain control. The CCP's rapid de-escalation followed anti-Xi elders' timely intervention, seizing negotiation authority, yielding the swift cool-down, capitulation, and eventual new Shimonoseki Treaty. Otherwise, having played tariff chicken once before, how could she fold to a 100% threat in 20 minutes? Trump also dropped this. During their talks, she told him, "I want to congratulate you for bringing the United States of America back." Before the summit, when Trump announced resumed nuclear testing, she not only praised his peace achievements, but lauded him for saving America, delivering massive emotional value. These aren't Xi's words. They're lines he was forced to read. Compared to Xi's swagger at last year's San Francisco APEC, this summit reduced him to a punchline compilation. Caught in lifts, flustered into a bathroom escape by Sanai Takaichi, mocked to his face by Lee Jae-myung about Xiaomi phone security, and his drinking grimace going viral, all underscoring his plummeting stature. The APEC summit opened October 31st in Jeonju. At the banquet, alongside 21 member leaders, hosts served Tiger Yuzu Makgeolli from Gyeonggi's traditional Pae Haejong Brewery, a citrus-scented Korean rice wine fermented with local rice and improved yeast, 6% ABV, sweet sour fruit notes. Yet this mild beverage, accustomed as she is to high-proof matai, prompted a single sip to produce a wince and rapid blinking pain face that exploded online. Undeniably an expression management failure. As the guest of honor beside the host, basic courtesy demands at least performative appreciation, regardless of taste. The clip is now Korea's top meme. One sharp comment I saw: a nation's palate, like its freedom, atrophies under prolonged control. But Xi's mishaps went further. Lee gave him a go board, worlds apart from Trump's golden crown. After CCP protocol introduced Xi's gift of Xiaomi phones, Lee teased on the spot. How secure is the communication? She's self-deprecated. You can check for backdoors. Few know that after the phones, staff presented traditional scholars' treasures: Shisian Lake brush with jade handle, paperweight, Huizhou ink, and an inkstone. She, playing host, interjected, "Lake brush, right?" Then said it was an Anhui inkstone, only to be corrected on the spot by staff. It's from Guangdong. She hastily amended, "Duan inkstone." She gave Lee 3 gifts: Westlake tea set, Scholars 4 treasures, 2 Xiaomi phones. Tellingly, Lee thanked the first 2 as exquisite and beautiful, but said nothing about the phones. Xi's correction reveals he didn't even know what he was gifting. Staff hadn't briefed him. Worse, protocol officials mispronounced Lee's wife's name on site. A complete amateur operation. Like People's Daily misspelling Xi as Xi Jinhu. Despite 3 mandatory review layers for Xi News, no one caught the error. What does that signal? The editors simply didn't care.